Hi everyone, this is Gian, and today I'm giving you an update on the tunnel. Now, as you all know, or if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, the tunnel blew off, the plastic of the tunnel. And this happened a couple of days ago due to strong winds that was unpredictable, and they just blew in. We lost a couple of trees and we lost the plastic on the tunnel. Now, at first I thought, we did something wrong. We didn't put up the tunnel correctly. We didn't connect it correctly, or there was something we just didn't consider. Yet we took extra precautions with putting this tunnel up, and we actually reinforced it in ways that is not prescribed by the people that we bought the tunnel from. Like, we put pins on the side, we put extra clamps. We bought 40 extra clamps to clamp the plastic onto the metal frame structure. We did a lot of extra things to prevent this tunnel from blowing off or away, because we know what winds we get. We considered the weather and what we have here, and still it happened. The winds blew for about 2 hours, very strong. For the first hour, I would say, was pretty calm, and the tunnel looked like it's gonna last. But then suddenly we just heard and it ripped off, and it started flapping around in the winds, and it started tearing on the sides more and more. So obviously I went to the people that we bought the tunnel from to find out what happened. Why did the tunnel break? This is not supposed to happen. But it turns out that this is a normal occurrence. This happens to these tunnels. And I found out on that day that dozens of other people also lost their tunnels, and they were also coming there to find out what to do next. So what they do is they quote you on a new plastic, and you have to put on a new plastic. And this seems to be a thing that occurs every year or few years, regardless of what you do. Now, since at Earth Haven we're all about sustainability and finding solutions that's practical, that is sustainable, and that lasts a long time, we have now unfortunately came to the conclusion that putting up plastic here in South Africa, in our position, where we are located and what we get, the plastic isn't going to work. But we still need to come up with a solution that's going to be best for all of us. That's how we work, what's best for everyone. Replacing plastic every time there's a big storm, that's not a sustainable solution. That's a waste of plastic, that's a waste of resources, that's a waste of money. That is in the long run not going to work. Yet the metal frame that we do have, that is a very good frame. That frame behind me is strong, it's stable, and it's going to last a very, very, very long time. So we're going to use that frame, and we're going to still plant inside the tunnel, but in a different way. See, the problem we have here is now winds. Alright, and winds break your trees, it breaks your plants. Wind is something that we do need to stop so that our vegetables that's growing do not get ripped apart or broken or things falling on them. We also need to prevent our vegetables from getting frost in the winter, which is a black frost which kills everything that it touches. We also need to stop the birds and the bugs from eating our vegetables. The moment that plastic blew off, the next day all our strawberries that was growing got eaten on. All the nice red ones are now gone. That's how fast animals intervene when there's an opportunity. So we are going to put netting on. Alright, we're going to put on a netting that gives us 80% shade and 20% sun on one half of the tunnel, which is the back half. On the front half, we're going to put a 60-40 netting. That means it gives us 60% shade and 40% sun. So we're going to put two different shadings on to give us two different levels of sunlight coming through. What will this help us? This will help us not getting frost on our plants. Alright, because the frost will fall in the net, and it will, through the net, become water and fall on the plants. This is also a positive thing, because now we have learned that we will get rainwater. When it rains, the rainwater, which is the best water you can get, will fall on the plants. So we don't have to water every single day, even though it rained the night before or rained during the day, because now the water will reach the plants. Also, when you put on netting, birds and bugs cannot get through. Yes, your small bugs can. Yes, you still have to look at how to prevent that, but you do need some and certain bugs to get to your plants, to pollinate your plants. So the netting is now actually a blessing in disguise that we have to put up. And this means we have to now purchase the netting. But the netting prevents storm winds from breaking up plants because the netting breaks the wind. The wind has to first hit the netting, and therefore the wind breaks up and it's not as powerful or strong, and therefore we will still not lose our plants with strong winds. Netting is flexible. Netting can stretch a lot. So if something falls on it or something happens, nothing will happen to the netting. We've had netting on our nursery back there for many years, at least 8 years now, and it's still standing, it's not breaking, it is perfectly fine. So we're going to now replace the whole tunnel into a green netting environment, which is still cool, it still works for us, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing how this will work out. So this is part of our research and development. And this is what we've learned here in South Africa for our environment, for our position and location currently, and how we need to adjust ourselves to the best solution for everyone and what to do with the tunnel now. So it's not money wasted. It is not an investment that is wasted. It's actually something that we're still using, we still need it, and we're still going to go forward with it, only a little bit different according to the feedback we've now gotten. And on another note, I can now see with all the earthquakes, the fires, the flooding, the hurricanes that's been hitting millions of people and affecting thousands upon thousands of people in this world right now, how bad it is. I lost a piece of plastic from my tunnel, and it was bad to just watch and to feel that infrastructure, that work you've put in to just go away. So I can only imagine how it will feel to lose everything you have in a storm, in a flooding, in an earthquake, in a fire, and you have nowhere to go from there. And this is part of what Earth Haven needs to achieve, is to set up self-stable communities around the world so that when things like this happen, there is a safe haven, an Earth Haven, which is a place of safety for people to go to for when these things occur. And not just for natural disasters occurrence, because it's not a disaster, it's actually humans that cause the natural disasters, so it's actually a human disaster, then wherefore nature is just an outflow. So we are learning the hard way, the same way that I learned the hard way here now and how I have to adjust and change, the same way we need to learn. Why is the fires happening? Why is the hurricanes happening? Why is all the earthquakes happening? What are we as humans doing and not changing? Why are we not adapting and seeing our fault, our mistake? And why are we not correcting ourselves, one and equal, to an outcome that's based for all? That includes how we affect the weather, how we affect this earth, and the systems that's here. So this is currently what I'm learning, and I hope everyone else in this world learns the same, because we're losing a lot, and that's through little things that we're not considering, we're not changing. Even after decades of seeing how we are impacting this planet, we're still not changing. So now we have to change the hard way. We have to change in a way that is not preferred. We have to change in a way that we don't enjoy. And that's through suffering, through pain, through loss. So we can either decide to change through seeing common sense, through seeing practicality, through admitting mistakes, through admitting what we are doing and how we've been doing things, and then to take a practical step forward within that. And that's what I'm applying right here now with Earth Haven, and it costs money. Unfortunately, money as a budget in this world limits everything. If money wasn't a limitation, we could have done things the right way, in a fast way, and together. So unfortunately, people losing stuff in disasters, natural disasters, fires, name all of it, because of our long-term participation and thus consequence, is now still limited by financial means. And that's very sad to know. The same way that people in poverty and people dying of starvation every single day in this world, and people dying of wars and everything is connected to money, everything is connected to us and our activity on this planet. And we need to stand up and take responsibility for what we are doing. It's not nature, it's not war, it's not poverty, it's we are creating it, and we are limiting ourselves in a money system to live this way, to suffer this way, to continue this way. So we need to realize, and we need to see what we are creating, and stop blaming and stop looking outside of ourselves for it's nature's fault, it's the government's fault. We need to start changing, we need to start take action. So that's my message from what I'm learning from one tunnel and a few trees that got lost, and how much work just that was for me to replace and fix and so on. I still need to get to the tunnel, which is going to be a lot of work again. Now, prevention is the key. So let's start creating to prevent. Thank you very much for watching. This is Gian Roberts from Earth Haven Foundation. Check out my Patreon page, subscribe, become a pledger, share and like this video, and let's get spreading. Thank you.